The sheriff's cruiser slid in behind the septic truck, lights flashing against Karen's neon visor. She refused to move her SUV, blocking my 65-foot driveway like she owned it. The inspector pointed at my sign, the sheriff wrote a citation, and the crowd gasped. That's when everything changed. It started on a quiet morning in our cul-de-sac. My driveway, a long 65-foot lane stretching behind the houses, was suddenly blocked. An HOA patrol cart sat across it like a guard dog, engine humming, driver arms crossed. He told me flatly, "You don't own this lane. It's common." I laughed, but inside I burned. That lane is my lifeline. It's on my deed. It's the only way to reach my house tucked behind the cul-de-sac. I've mowed it in summer, salted it in winter, and paid thousands to repave it. Yet here was a patrol officer snapping photos like I was a crime scene. I asked him, visibility of what? He smirked, your patience. He told me to take it up with the board. My jaw tightened. This wasn't just about asphalt. It was about authority, about someone deciding my property didn't belong to me. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't going to be solved with a shrug. I gathered my records, survey maps with bold black lines marking private access easement, tax receipts showing I paid for the lane, maintenance invoices proving I repaved and salted. I sent them all to the HOA board with a polite note. Please don't block the driveway I legally maintain. Their reply came from Karen, the self-appointed compliance chair. Her email dripped with authority. Per policy, the lane is common. Remove your private drive sign or be fined. Attached was a photo of my sign circled in angry red, like I'd vandalized a masterpiece. I tried the neighbor route. Most kept their heads down. One whispered, "We support you, but Karen watches Ring cameras." Another texted, "Please don't drag us into it." The silence was louder than any words. I realized this wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a power play. Karen wanted control, and the board backed her. My evidence didn't matter. My polite tone didn't matter. They wanted me to fold, but I wasn't about to. At the next board meeting, I stood ready. My binder of documents sat heavy in my hands. When my turn came, Karen banged her little gavel and said, 1 minute. I spoke fast, laying out deeds, maps, and maintenance records. She cut my mic at exactly 60 seconds. "Your feelings don't change policy," she snapped. The patrol guy smirked from the corner, like they'd scored a goal. The room felt stacked against me. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Karen winked at the patrol officer, her visor tilted like a crown. I walked out humiliated, but not defeated. If they wanted a fight, I would give them one. Not with shouting, but with preparation. I remembered my dad's words. When a bully built a wall, use the door of marked authority. So I built my armor. I pulled every record, original plat easement language, maintenance agreements, HOA newsletters thanking me for snow removal. I organized them into a binder, each page tabbed, each note highlighted. Then I planned timing. Twice a year, our septic tank needs pumping. The truck is long, the hose longer, and wastewater law treats access as critical. I booked the pump day, filed the utility notice, and warned the company, "My HOA may try something. Please log any interference." The dispatcher replied with a smiley face, "We always do." I added 2 new signs at the lane's mouth. No parking, private drive, 24/7 tow. I didn't tow anyone. I just let the sign speak. And I waited for the storm. Pump day arrived like thunder. The big white septic truck rumbled up, beeping as it backed toward my lane. That's when Karen appeared, neon visor blazing, hand raised like a traffic cop nobody hired. "Stop," she shouted. "You can't drive there. It's common area. Board decision." The driver leaned out. "Ma'am, we have a work order." Karen snapped, "Not on my street." Then she did it. She rolled her SUV sideways across the lane, blocking the truck. HOA patrol pulled up, scribbling notes like poets of overreach. I hit record on my phone. My binder was inside, but my utility notice had a line. "If access is blocked, call us." The driver called. The utility called. Within 20 minutes, a county environmental inspector pulled up. 10 minutes later, a sheriff's cruiser slid in behind him. Neighbors drifted out with coffee and phones, standing in clusters like birds on a wire. Karen told the inspector she was protecting community resources. He pointed to my sign, then to the plat copy I'd taped to my fence. This says private drive maintained by the owner. Karen sputtered, "Well, our policy—" The sheriff cut her off. "Policy isn't law, ma'am. Move your vehicle." She refused. The crowd gasped. The sheriff leaned down, calm. "Ma'am, you're obstructing a permitted utility service. That's a citation." Karen tried to talk over him. Big mistake. He wrote the ticket. She turned tomato red, tires squealing as she finally moved. The septic truck rolled in. The inspector walked the lane with me, checked the tank, nodded at my permits, and said loud enough for cameras, "Owner's in the right. HOA interfered with access." The crowd erupted in laughter and cheers. Karen stood at the edge, visor crooked, powerless. The inspector wasn't finished. He noticed the patrol cart's earlier parking job. Who authorized blocking sightlines on a private drive? The patrol guy pointed at Karen. Karen pointed at the board. The inspector wrote another citation, this time to the HOA for unsafe obstruction. The sheriff added a warning. False claims of authority on private property won't be tolerated. Neighbors giggled, phones raised. Someone shouted, "Smottle, Karen." She did not. By sunset, the group chat had turned into a meme factory. My favorite, Karen's visor captioned, "Chief of Not Police." The tide had turned. Authority had spoken. The HOA's power play crumbled under the weight of law. And for the first time, I felt the lane breathe free. The next day, the HOA's own lawyer sent a memo. "My lane is private. The HOA has no right to block it. Any future interference could mean fines and legal costs." The memo strongly recommended the board cease enforcement and remove Karen from compliance. They did. Karen lost her gavel and her patrol fan club. The threats of fines vanished. The HOA paid the citations and even cut me a check for damages from patrol cart tires and for the emergency flagman I'd hired when snowplows were blocked. They repainted the curb yellow at the lane's mouth, carefully cutting around my private drive sign like a crown. The lane stood clear, respected, and mine. Neighbors waved again. The silence lifted. The power games ended. Now the lane is quiet. No patrol carts, no visor shadow. I still mow, salt, and repave, but now I do it with peace. When the septic truck returns, there's no drama, only the soft hum of a job done right. Karen walks her tiny dog on the other side of the street. She doesn't look at me. I don't need her to. The law looked for both of us, and it didn't blink. This story isn't just about asphalt. It's about persistence, preparation, and the power of authority over petty control. So I ask you, what would you have done if your only driveway was blocked? Comment below and follow for more HOA showdowns, because sometimes the quietest lane hides the loudest battles.